Hello, it's author Tonya Duncan Ellis with another episode of Write This, my author interview show. I'm so happy that you could join me today. This is going to be a really fun show where I'm interviewing a graphic novelist. Kristen Kiesling has a new novel that she just announced, or that an upcoming novel that she announced that's coming out. And I am so excited to learn about it. I've been reading some graphic novels the past few weeks and really gotten into the genre. So I want to learn all about her process and what she does to create her work. And while we're waiting to bring her on, I also want to invite you guys to an event that I'll also be announcing on my page that's taking place this weekend, the Louisville Book Festival. I'll be going home virtually in my hometown in Louisville to participate in the second annual Louisville Book Festival. And on this Friday at 1:45 p.m. Eastern Time, I'm doing a reading from my newest book, Sophie Washington Lemonade Day, and I'll be giving away some prizes. So if you can pop on, I'd love to see you. I also, at 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on this coming Friday, will be doing a presentation on social media marketing for authors. So if you're interested, please join in. It's a free event, and you need to sign up and register at LouisvilleBookFestival.com to participate. And it's taking place all weekend, so I'll be there, but there'll also be multiple other authors as well. So I'm waiting for Kristen. I see that she's joined. I'm going to invite her in. Let's see. Get this on here. Kristen, I see you here. So I'm getting you in. Okay. Goodness. And Kristen, it says you need the latest version of Instagram to join. So you need to update your Instagram to sign on. And then I'm going to invite you in. Let's see. Always something. So she's going to be getting that in. Okay, she's trying to figure it out. And it's always something with the technology. And they update and do changes all the time. But while we're waiting for her to come back, has anyone, or if anyone has any questions that they want to pose for her, please pop them in the comments and I'll put them in. Myself, I've been reading some graphic novels, as I mentioned earlier. This week I read, or earlier last weekend I read Class Act by Jerry Craft. That was really good. And I also have read some books by Shannon Hale, who writes graphic novels that I love. They're really sweet stories about teen or early teenage years that some of them have nearly brought me to tears. So when people say that the graphic novels aren't or don't have the depth of a big novel, I really beg to differ, because they really bring up so many great issues, and then they're fun, quick reads. So I've started to get into those as well. Okay, so let's see. Kristen has sent me a request. And get going. They're going to be having a practice live on Instagram. I accepted it, but it didn't really work. I'm going to invite her again.
No.
Yeah, you're right. It's always something with Instagram.
Always. I thought I had all my ducks in a row, but clearly
it happens every time. But I just heard this week they're going to roll out a practice Instagram live. So okay, that'll be great. I'll be so happy when they have that, because I never know how to tell people, and it's always something different.
yes, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm excited to meet with you today and answer any questions that I can. I definitely don't have all the answers because I'm a newbie too. But yeah, it's I got some good news today. I just completed everything, like, for my editor to send it to the artist. So I finished my edits today, and it is off to the artist now. So
that is awesome. I know you are so excited to have your own book deal and be coming out with a graphic novel when they're so hot right now.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I didn't start my journey knowing I would write graphic novels, so that was not what I set out originally to do. But I am so excited, and and the art form has been so much fun to learn and to do. So yeah.
Okay, great. Well, Kristen, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? What's your background and how did you get into writing?
Sure. Well, I graduated from OU a long time ago, and actually focused on business coming out of school, and always loved writing, but it wasn't anything that I did outside of just for fun. When I was a kid, I'd make up stories and stuff, but and write them down, but nothing that I didn't think, oh, I'm going to be a writer someday. I know some people start off like that, and I'd always kind of kept that in the back of my mind, wondering, all those thoughts that you have, like, I don't know if I can do it. And those kind of things definitely kept me from making the leap for a long time. But after my kids were born and as they were growing up, I ended up going into teaching. And so I got my Texas teacher certificate and taught third grade here in outside of Houston, and then decided I wanted to try writing full time. So I left the classroom and dedicated just to see what happened if I did it full time. So did that. Took me about 4 years of just really knowing what I didn't even know what I didn't know at that time. So just learning everything. I started with picture books and just learning the craft of really making every word count and understanding page turns and understanding that. And then I moved into longer prose. So I started writing YA. And I don't know why I picked YA over graphic novels or at the time or middle grade or anything. I just felt, I thought I'd try that. So I wrote the Harrowing originally as a YA novel, and then won a couple contests that I tried with that, and got a great mentorship with author Heather Petty. She does the Nevada mentorship with Ellen Hopkins, and there's a bunch of great mentors in the Nevada SCBWI program. So went and kind of learned a lot more about that piece and what I wanted it to be. And after I completed the YA novel, I started querying that for an agent. And as I was doing that, I was working on the graphic novel adaptation from that novel. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to learn how to do a graphic novel. So I started with a movie script because there was a competition I wanted to enter for that. So I started adapting it to a movie script. And that's, I guess, when the point is that I went, well, how much of a jump is the script format from a movie format, a film for a feature, to a graphic novel? And so it's really not that big of a jump. You have to train your brain to think more static, than a moving picture. But once you have a script written, changing that to a graphic novel is not a huge leap. So I started working on that and querying, and ended up working with an amazing agent. So Jennifer Chen Tran with Bradford Literary. And we just kind of sat down, and she liked the novel too. And we just thought, which do we want to go out with first? And so we just started, she sent out the Harrowing as a graphic novel to publishers, and ended up, I guess I missed a step. Before we did that in my journey, Jen was amazing and had known about an artist named Jen Hickman. Lots of Jens in my story and in my life. I don't know if it's a 1970s, 1980s thing, but if your name's Jen, we're definitely going to be friends. So anyway, so Jen told me about Jen Hickman, and I looked at their art, which was fantastic. I don't know if you guys have a chance to check Jen out on Twitter. Their name is Jen Hickman, and I think on my Twitter post or on yours, I think it has their handle. But Jen's work is amazing, and my agent Jen sent Jen the artist my script, and Jen was on board and really liked it, and they decided that they were open to going out on submission together. And so we did that with
Now,
Jen's
wait a minute.
agent as well.
Is that
Yes,
common? Is that common for the graphic novel?
that's a good question.
Mhm.
It is done both ways.
Okay.
And unfortunately, in the graphic novel world, that's a lot of what you're going to hear. Like, what's the typical script? Well, there's not one way to do it. So
Mhm.
the good news about that is it opens up a whole world to you, because in the picture, as you know, I'm sure, Tonya, in the picture book world, you definitely don't, if you're not the artist, you don't typically pair. If you're trying to do traditional publishing, you don't typically pair with an illustrator.
Mhm.
But in the graphic novel world, you can. You
Mhm.
can. So texts certainly sell text only, and they certainly sell as a group project. I would say you might have a little bit of, if they love the art but don't love the text, and or vice versa,
Mhm.
that may make your book. Otherwise, if they would have loved the text, that might make it harder to sell, or it might show the editor what your vision is for the piece. So in my case, we went out as a pair.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then that sold to Amulet, to Abrams Amulet, and since then I've just been working on the script, getting it ready to send to Jen. And so that's a kind of a one-on-one thing with me and my editor. And then once that gets sent off, then Jen will take it from there and work on it. So yeah.
Well, that sounds so exciting. And it seems like you've been very calm through this whole, because I only know of you through we're both members of the Houston SCBWI, and I don't go that often. I'm more, and then we've been virtual. So I
Yeah.
kind of joined right around pandemic time, and everything's been virtual. But
Right.
it seems like you were just running the SCBWI. So I didn't even know you hadn't had your book out yet.
No, and in fact, this is kind of a eye-opening thing when you do sell your book. The lead time at these publishers is so long. So my book actually won't be on the shelf till fall of 2024.
Oh my goodness.
So
Woo.
long time.
I
Lots of
know.
time to build that pipeline though. So if you're going after traditional contract, just know, hey, I'm going to have time to just be filling that pipeline with other work, so that if somebody says, what else do you have? You have something there to show them. Yeah.
Right. Because it seems like the whole thing, getting an agent takes forever. Doing it, every part of the process takes quite a while.
It does, and that's what you have to keep positive about. You have to go, hey, I've got 14 query letters out. What can I be doing while I'm waiting? Because it is such a game of patience, right? As you know, it's like between getting an agent and then having them read it, the months it might take for them to read it, and
Right.
then same with getting an editor and the time they have to get your notes back. It can take a while. So you've got to keep yourself motivated and just work on the next thing while you can. So
Now, I glanced at your website today and noticed you offered some great tips on setting up a writing schedule. Can you share some of those tips with people?
sure. I wish I was somebody that stuck to it all the time. But
Mhm.
in a perfect world, from what I understand and what I understand about myself, is I am more productive when I have a schedule. So if I can, through the week, I get up. There's a great writer named Walter Mosley that he says he never takes a break. Holidays, he's writing. I mean, something.
Mhm.
And I think that is actually really inspirational and something you can strive to, even if it's like 10 minutes. I know that sounds crazy, but it's like you go to the grocery store and you're standing there without your earbuds in and you hear something. Write that scene, something that you pick up, and spend 5 minutes on something little. But for me, what I do typically is I get up in the morning, get the kids ready, get everybody off to school. And then for me now, I don't have kids home. During the Zoom and the pandemic and everything, that was crazy for, I'm sure, a lot of you, because it's hard to have a schedule, right?
Mhm.
So in a perfect world, I get all the animals taken care of too, that can be disruptive. And then try to write my day might start writing around 9. And then I'll try to write, if I am where I want to meet a deadline, even if it's a self-imposed one, like, hey, I want to get to the end of this next thing that I'm doing, then I will try to spend at least 2 or 3 hours before lunchtime. And then I work after lunch for a while and then take care of the kids. Usually by the time everybody's home and I've got to drive to soccer practice or whatever, band or whatever, then, in the evening time, I might find more time to work then. But I am personally myself, I work nonstop a lot and then take a big break. So I might work really hard, even the weekends, 7-8 hours a day, and then take off a week because I'm tired.
Right. And that's a lot on your brain, even in your thinking and your training.
Yeah. And even if you're not writing, like I don't have time to do this right now, or you've got to worry about your health and you've got to go exercise or take a walk. I really use that time to listen to a book or do a podcast or listen to a podcast on writing. I know some people find that boring. I do really enjoy it. So there's one that I absolutely love called Writing Excuses. And it's like a 15-minute podcast with Brandon Sanderson. There are actually a lot of fantasy adult writers, but every single episode applies to Kid Lit. I think it's wonderful. So I listen to a lot of those, and I'll usually in my Twitter feed, like, this one was great today, and I'll post about that too. But I'm always trying to think of my story. If I'm watching a movie, it's great to think, how would I have done that differently? Or you get to a point in the movie, you're like, I didn't see it going that way. And so, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Now, one question I was wondering, how many words are in a graphic novel typically? Does it differ in YA from middle grade? Or?
Yes, that's a great question. I have actually not done a word count on graphic novels because you don't really need to think in word count, because if you're doing a movie script, then you think in page count. So it'll be about 85 pages probably in a movie script. And then once you put it in a page panel, which now I've started writing in a page panel format. And what that means is I say in each panel what goes in the picture. So if you sell a text only, well, either way, I mean, I sold my manuscript, I had to take from just a script and then say what goes in every single picture. For mine's 225 pages. Okay. So for that, then but each page has maybe 5 or 6 panels, or sometimes 8 panels or 3 panels. So it's really hard to say word count wise. There's not, you might describe a scene really wordy for the artist, and other times you might say she walks in the room.
Right.
So, and at YA, you would be around 75, 80,000, I would assume. If it's a fantasy, it'd be higher probably. And middle grade, about 45 to 50, 55. Maybe your listeners might know all that better than me, but that's about the word count that you'd be going for, I think, in a middle grade and a YA. So right, okay. My YA was 75,000 that translated to this script. So, and I cut a lot of stuff out. I mean, in a graphic novel, if you think about your favorite movie and how that was made from a book, how much stuff they've left out, it's right. Similar experience when you're adapting to a, yeah.
Now, can you tell us a little bit about the storyline of the Heroine?
Sure. Well, it's about a psychic teen who, my pitch is a psychic teen who hunts potential killers until she finds out her boyfriend's her next target.
Oh my goodness.
So, so I was clearly inspired by Minority Report, and I always found the trolley dilemma interesting, which I don't know if you know that, but that's where if you were on a train, let's say, and you were barreling, if you saw The Good Place, they did a funny episode on it. You're barreling towards a group of people, and you have the ability to switch the track. And you can not kill that group of people and kill. So there's a group of people on the tracks here and one person on the track over here. So do you switch the track and just kill 1 people and save 10? Would you do that? Would that be the ethical thing to do? What if that one person on the other track was your child, but the others are strangers? So it's just that gray area of what's right, what's wrong, and how do you behave. And I definitely like putting my characters in really uncomfortable situations.
That's
So
interesting.
thank you. So this girl's about, it's about a girl who hunts potential killers, and she has a power or a gift that helps her have visions of pre-crime, essentially, although that's Philip K. Dick's word. So I call them MCRIMs, which are imminent criminals. And she finds out that there's other girls with her gift. She goes to an organization that helps her, trains her to use her gift to basically arrest these criminals before they've done their crime. And all that, she's on board with that until she has a loved one that has, that is predicted to murder. So, and what she has to do then. Maybe she doesn't feel as strongly about the organization when it's her loved one. So see how it's kind of that trolley effect question. So.
And then your husband, are you married?
I am. I have a husband and 2 boys.
He may stay up at night like, she's.
Oh my gosh, I have lots of people that go, "You look so nice." My next book, the next book I was working on is a really dark kind of adult horror called The Embalmer. And people are like, "Oh, you seem really nice. What's going on?"
Sounds good. It sounds like a movie, like a Netflix movie. So
we'll see. I don't know. It's definitely been exciting to get here. So yeah, I'm just thrilled to keep writing and hope to tell stories people like and find interesting. So
now, do you have any tips for any aspiring authors that we have here listening?
Yeah, just keep writing, because I think that you have to have thick skin in this industry. You have to be able to take rejection. You have to tell that whatever you call her. Sometimes I have a very not nice name for her on my shoulder who says, "You can't do this. What do you think you're doing? You're not a writer." Mm-hmm. I always tell people, say, "I am a writer." Just say that to yourself, because if you write, you're a writer. It doesn't mean you have to have a book sold. Doesn't mean people can buy your stuff. If you write, you are a writer. And I think that the other best piece of advice I have is that no, everybody's not going to like your story. It's not going to be for everybody. Just like your favorite movie might not be your mom's or might not be your husband's in my house. Mm-hmm. And so there is an audience. If you like it, there's an audience like you that will like your book and like what you have to say. So that's my advice.
Very inspiring. Thank you for that.
Sure.
And then, so you said your book won't really be out until 2024. So yes. That's a while, but you're working on some new pieces. Where can people keep up with you and follow you in the meantime?
Yes. So I'm super excited about learning all Comic-Con. So send that information my way, because I'm hoping to have a release at one of the Comic-Cons. But I think my Twitter, and as you noticed, I have just started my book Instagram. So it's a baby. So I'm learning. I need to start putting more stuff on that as my journey goes. Maybe your viewers might be interested, and I could post some more stuff about my journey, about, if people are interested in that and how I got there. I can, on Twitter would be great. So at Kristen Kiesling there. And then my Instagram book one is Kiesling Books, at Kiesling Books. And I do have a webpage, so I can put that. That's on my Twitter that you can find too. And I need to update that actually with the sale of the book. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, that is exciting, Kristen. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you. And I'm looking forward to watching your journey and seeing everything as it evolves, because this book, it sounds so, I haven't seen Minority Report, so I don't know that story.
Oh, okay.
But it just sounds like something I'd watch on TV too. So who knows what will happen.
Well, thank you. And that is the thing. If you are interested in graphic novels, think about whatever idea you have. Could you see that as a motion picture? Could you see that in a movie? Because I think those make probably the best graphic novel if it comes to you very visually. If you're just a writer, and I don't mean that just, but if you're the text-only writer, do you see this in picture form? And if so, then you're going to have a great opportunity to make that into a graphic novel. And my DMs are always open. So if you on Twitter, if you guys have questions, like you may have some script questions, or, software, what software do I use? Those kind of things, feel free to reach out. I'm, an open book because I'm kind of learning it as I go too. So,
Okay, great.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time and
Thank you.
for coming on, and best wishes for the future. And thank
Thank
you
you. I
guys.
appreciate it so much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you. Thanks everybody, and see you next time.
Thank you.